It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
It is January the 8th. It is cold. That was Survivor. I'm just going to say one thing about Eye of the Tiger before we move on. Right there towards the end of the song, about a minute and a half away, all of a sudden you just hear a tambourine coming in on the 4. One of the most impactful tambourines in pop music history. I'm waiting for it, and then all of a sudden, and I get excited. That's what kind of a dork I am.
On the 4.
I'm just like, here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. It hits on the 4 the first time, and I'm always like, I didn't expect it. I was waiting for it, and I still didn't expect it. I need more coffee. Actually, I need less coffee. I need less coffee and more Survivor.
On the 4.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even care at this point. I've made my point, and it didn't make sense.
I'm going to add that to everything I say today. On the 4. Right? Or when are we going to do this meeting? On the 4.
Just hit me on the 4, man.
Yep.
You can always say that, and you can absolutely always say, dude, as long as you don't lose the 1, we're good. Just throw that in the conversation.
Yeah, I'm good.
As long as one of us knows where the 1 is, everything's going to be just fine. Let's get to your top 5. Screw 1 and 4. Let's go for the top 5 and 6 right now. How about this? St. Paul Brewing and Can Wonderland have kicked off the hunt for the golden beer can. This is a treasure hunt through public lands around St. Paul. Now, it started up yesterday. The first clue was released by St. Paul Brewing. 3 times a week, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, a new clue will be released inside the brewery's phone booth. What are we looking for? A golden beer can. What happens if you find it? $1,000, a private party worth $1,000 at the arcade. And beer for a year from the brewery.
Hello. Oh, they got some good brews over there, too.
For a year from the brewery.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a general amount they think the average person drinks in a year, or if they sit you down and say, now, what's a year of beer to you? Either way, a year of free beer sounds amazing. So you can check that out. As I said, 3 times a week, you're going to be getting clues. It will not be at Indian Mounds Park or the Como Zoo and Conservatory, nor will the can be found indoors, up a tree, on top of a building, on a body of water or ice, on a steep hillside. It will not be found something electrical on a golf course, on a street, or in a sewer. So what they're saying is, no, you'll just find it it's not going to be somewhere where we're going to risk injury or any malfeasance for you to track down this golden can of beer.
All right, so not in a house with a mouse or in a box with a fox either. No. Dry January, that's just kicking it right in the stones, isn't it? Take that. I love it.
Set us up for wet February. There we go.
I wonder if you and I are thinking about the same thing right now.
Wet.
Well, have you ever heard that old saying? The biggest difference between a man and a woman is the image that pops into their head when you say the word facial. But I will say this.
Oh my God.
I will say this. See, you both had that reaction. They have some damn good brews over there. But if you're willing to wander away from the Jack and Coke, because Taylor drugged me over there this summer. St. Paul Brewing, if you're willing to wander away from that Jack and Diet Coke, I guess, it is, after the holidays, they've got some great craft cocktails there as well. But I'm down for a year of beer. I think that means you should get your own vat. They have those big beer vats back there.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Just slap my name on it, Zep, and I can just go back there and pull a tap whenever I want.
Makes sense to me. You know what? That is a great hang. It's really cool space out there behind,
the old hams.
It's good inside. It's good outside. That place is awesome.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Got dragged over there by some friends this summer and had a blast. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. Hershey, Pennsylvania, the Hershey Bears hockey team, they do this thing every year, the teddy bear toss. So they're the Hershey Bears, and as part of the Hershey Bears Cares Initiative, they have a game every year where, upon the first goal being scored, everyone in the arena throws a stuffed teddy bear onto the ice. They just raise these teddy bears, and then they're collected and donated to more than 35 local and regional organizations. They were going for a world record this year. Now, in 2024, we talked about this a year ago. Somebody scores a goal for the Hershey Bears. 74,599 teddy bears rain down onto the ice. 74,599. Now, they said, hey, let's see if we can break that record this year. And then Sunday night they did. So last year's world record, 74,599. This year, Oh, they didn't just break it. They destroyed it. 102,000 stuffed toys hit the ice.
Damn. I mean, that's
102,343.
I'm looking at the aftermath here of this cute, cuddly Mayhem. It almost looks like one of those claw boxes, about half full. I mean, you could drown some players out there, I think. That's a lot of freaking teddy bears.
It's a really sweet thing, unless you're on the team, either of the teams, because then you get into the game. This happens 14 minutes into the first period, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to need about a 20-minute break here, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes to collect 100,000 stuffed toys? What the hell?
man.
But it's nice. All right, good job, Hershey. The town that truly smells like chocolate.
It does, you know.
Yeah.
I have been too. You know, I was born in Central PA, so when we'd go back every summer from South Dakota for the family vacation, we'd go to, they have a Hershey Park there, like Valley Fair.
Yeah, really good park.
Yeah, I remember I would proudly sport my T-shirt. I survived the Super Duper Looper, man.
Oh, very
That was a
nice.
big roller coaster out there. Awfully proud of
heck
that.
yeah.
We're far too long, you know.
Yeah, you really walk around the town and you're just like, it smells like chocolate everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to have more of this chocolate. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. Oh, boy. A new ringing endorsement for the COVID vaccine has hit, specifically the Pfizer version of the COVID vaccine. And here is what I'm talking about. A 19-year-old woman from Canada says that after receiving the COVID vaccine, her breast size went from a B to a triple G cup.
Woo!
There is
Hello.
like too much of a good thing.
There's definitely too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, this woman is unnamed, but she's given some interviews, and she's been, a lot of doctors from the University of Toronto and medical researchers are looking into this. She says her breasts ballooned in size after getting her first COVID vaccine. This is in the fall of September 22. She felt some tingling and then a slight bit of growth. Got her second dose 3 weeks later, and then they just exploded. Now,
Wow.
There's no. Now, again, the main thing here is the word allegedly. Okay, there's no guarantee this has anything to do with anything. I mean, I would say, look at her passport. Did she take a trip to Turkey?
Well, does she have both nipples? Because that gal you're referring
That's
to from
right.
England last year, one of her nipples fell off,
Now,
as I recall.
Yeah.
this could also be she got a hold of a bad pickle. We don't know. Weird things, but I will say, I mean, now billions of COVID vaccines have been given around the world. This is the first time someone has said, of all the different things people claim to have in the aftermath of the vaccine, this woman is the first person to say, oh, by the way, my breast just ballooned and went berserk. My experience with the COVID vaccine, it was really weird, is I moved to Minnesota after I got it. I did not see that coming. You know what I mean? It was like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I'm doing mornings? Why did I take that vaccine?
Son of a gun.
We'll let you know. But all I'm saying is this. If there is a proven link to the vaccine and large breast growth, then I'm just saying there's going to be a lot of people rethinking that whole anti-vax platform.
Especially the husbands. Yeah, they'll be like, oh, no, honey, I've been thinking about this, and I'm awfully worried about your health. Maybe we ought to, and when I say we, you ought to go ahead and get the vaccine.
Maybe it's time we trust the science.
Yeah, get another one, maybe.
Yeah. In an effort to pull not one but a second rabbit out of his hat, number 2 on your top 5 at 6, the Minnesota Vikings and KOC announced they have signed Daniel Jones to the 53-man roster for the playoffs. Now, well, Sam Darnold's one thing. You turn Daniel Jones into a legitimate quarterback in this league, then by gosh, KOC, I'll build a statue to myself.
Oh, yeah.
He was never Daniel Jones, failed New York Giants flop quarterback. Came over a few weeks back. He was never added to the active roster, but he will be on the playoff roster. You got to have a backup, and I guess Brett Rippon just wasn't showing enough spunk in practice or something. I'm not really sure.
I think the Vikings are just trying to collect all the quarterbacks in the NFL with the dumbest look on their face. Aren't they just trying to, with that 1,000-yard stare, kind of? Now we have 2. Well, I mean, if anyone could do something with this Daniel Jones guy, it would be our own Coach O'Connell. He has proven, I think, to be the quarterback whisperer. I mean, when you look at the season before, how many quarterbacks did we have in the rotation? 25?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And managed to eke out some wins there as well. So Danny Dimes Gets to put on the jersey, yeah.
KOC plays very, very long. He plays the long game. If you remember 2 years ago, Daniel Jones and the New York Giants came here and beat us in the playoffs.
Yes.
And because of that, the Giants then signed Daniel Jones to a huge contract. KOC was like, you know what? If I let this kid beat us, they're going to lock up all the money. And yeah, we'll get him on a bargain. So now basically the Giants are paying the Vikings to have this guy on the roster. So that's good. That's just good old-fashioned chess playing from KOC right there. Hey, Golden Valley, good morning. Golden Valley, Minnesota, what is happening?
I'll see you here in the near future, I think, for a Frisco burger at Schuler's, one of the great dive bars over in Golden Valley.
Is awesome.
Yeah, Westopolis. I'm sorry, Westopolis.
I was waiting for you to say, are we talking about Westopolis?
Yeah, there it
number
is.
one on your top 5 at 6. If you are cooler than me, by which I mean if you got one of those blackout license plates, you are hardly alone. I'm still walking. I drive around with, every time I see one, I'm like, I got to get one of those. Those things look awesome. The Minnesota blackout plate, I really dig it. They wanted to sell, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, when they introduced those, they said, well, we're hoping to sell about 160,000 of these. No, last year they did 271,000 of those plates.
All the rage.
They're everywhere.
The rage. They're absolutely everywhere. It's been a huge cash cow, $7.8 million brought in from those plates. Now, the number one plate beyond the blackout is Minnesota Vikings plates. They sold about 6,000 of those. There was a few others that hit the thing, but nothing's touching the old blackout. Everybody's really, really into those, myself included. And by God, now that I'm realizing I'm missing out even more, then I'm not going to go get one. Now I just got to stand my ground with the old school plate.
Yeah, they're very near to being a tattoo now, aren't they? Where everyone has one.
Pretty much.
Here's what I dig about them. They all start with the Z. Did you guys notice that? It's got the Z in it. You don't find a lot of license plates with that magical letter, the most magical letter of all the letters in the alphabet, the Z. And I saw one here recently that actually had the ZEP, Z-E-P.
Oh, nice.
On it. Yeah, right, exactly. So I gave him a wave. I assumed it was an homage to me.
Sure.
I got you. I see you, seeing me, seeing you, seeing me.
They're so popular, those that you're going to be out of luck if you try and get one now because they're going to have to change that. They're not going to be able to start them all with Z because they ran out.
Well, then I'll have to steal one off someone's car.
You are.
My Gorman road trips, there was always a thing where if you do the license plate game on a road trip, you see how many states you see a plate from. There was that one. Then there was also, you look at a license plate, you have 3 or 4 letters, and you just have to come up with what those letters stand for. You have to just immediately blurt out the first 3 words that come to mind. And so I will do that till the day I die. I grew up doing it. I look at a license plate in front of me, and right away it's just like, go Tigers go, or whatever I see. The first 3. And every time I see those Z's, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Zebra are fun. It's like, come on. There's only so many Z words.
There
kills
is.
the game. It's like, and by the way, next time you notice this, Pennsylvania, they always start with K's. Drives me crazy. I hate these Pennsylvania. A lot of K's.
A lot of K's.
It's not a good word to start with. Anyway, these are the kind of things that keep me up at night. Hey, listen, football's not over, but fantasy football has wrapped up. If you were in a league, you are either the one person feeling good about it right now, or you're the 9 or 10 people who hate somebody. But here's the deal. We always know the losers of football fantasy leagues, there's something you have to do if you're the loser. Let's talk about this. If the loser of your fantasy league had to perform one song in front of a sold-out stadium crowd, let's build a midweek mixtape around that. What song would you have them sing? What song does your fantasy football league loser have to sing in front of a sold-out stadium? 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line. Hit us up on KQRS Facebook. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream. You know what I really always loved about Tom Petty is he had 100 of those, what do you call them? Great songs.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Write a tune, dude. It's ridiculous. Every record has at least 3 that you're like, that's my favorite song I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Nice run there, Tom. Speaking of songs, fantasy football league's all wrapped up with the end of the regular season. And, of course, every self-respecting fantasy football league has a first prize for the winner and a better prize for the loser. If you come in last, you usually have to do something, a little humiliating, a little embarrassing. And we were thinking, well, let's have somebody get up and sing in front of a state. You're going to a playoff game. You lose your league, you got to go to an NFL playoff game, and you got to sing a song in the stadium. I would suggest this. The national anthem. Good luck.
Oh,
It's
God,
not,
yeah.
I mean, real
That
singers.
high.
Yeah, real singers mess that one up all the time. So have fun with that. But there's a lot of good texts. 651-989-ROCK. Let's compile the midweek mixtape. What song would you have your loser sing? This might be hard to top. Someone texted in, the loser should have to sing by the Divinals, I Touch Myself.
While they touch themselves.
Yeah, just right
Yeah.
there, 70,000 football fans going, what is that dude singing? I don't want nobody else. Every time I think about you, I touch myself. Man, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, Neil on the Facebook page, Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's Neil's answer every single week, and it
Yeah.
always works. So big credit to Neil.
Check this out. Here's a good text. A local person who's from Georgia, clearly. Our fantasy football last place loser, there's no song here, but I just love the visual, has to run the Fuzz Run, a charity 5K back home in Covington, Georgia, dressed as their favorite Disney princess. That's pretty good.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
I saw
And then
someone
he
out
said-
at Afton last year that was all dressed. Oh, I'm sorry, they had more.
Oh, no, he just said if they had to sing a song in front of a megadome, I'd go with Rock Lobster by the B-52s.
Oh.
Not bad.
And by the way, you know the Athens Rock Lobsters just kicked off their season. A professional hockey team from the Federal Prospects League in Athens, Georgia, inaugural season. They are called the Athens Rock Lobsters.
Outstanding. I love
Fantastic.
it. I love it. But yeah, last year at Afton, I came skiing up to one of the lifts, and there's a turns out it was a guy. I thought it was a gal in a 1970s bright purple, neon purple jumpsuit, long red hair, and the hugest boobs I've ever seen. And I've gone looking for big boobs before. So, I mean, these were really big boobs. And I thought, wow. And as I kind of, as you do to get up and get a look at the face, as I kind of skied around, I looked and it was a dude with a beard and a mustache.
Yeah.
And it had a big sign hanging on him saying, I lost my fantasy football league.
Nice.
Skiing for the day. Yeah, looking good. If he fell face first, he was fine, though.
I just realized we have a new euphemism from the woman in Canada who claims her breasts blew up in size after getting vaccinated. You now can look at a well-endowed woman and simply say, someone got the vax. See, I mean, she's providing us with a way to discuss people. Who are you talking about? The one at the bar or the vaccinated one over there at the table? Yeah, okay, so thanks for that. Driver Dale texted in, I am woman, hear me roar. That's for a dude to stand up in a stadium and sing, that's a pretty good one. All right, we'll keep submitting. We'll keep taking a look at your submissions, I should say, for the midweek mixtape. But it's time to move on by looking back. Oh, I'll tell you what went down on this day, January 8th, 25 years ago, in the year 2000. There was a playoff game, oddly enough, in all places, Nashville, Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans, in their first season in their new stadium in Nashville, hosted the Buffalo Bills. And if you thought losing 4 Super Bowls in the 90s was bad, oh, it got worse on this day. One of the all-time most legendary playoff last-second miracle plays, the Music City Miracle, went down. Whether you care about either team at all, you remember this. It sounded amazing.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them in what has been a magical season to this point? If they do, they need it now. Christie kicks it high and short. Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's got
40,
something.
50.
He's got it.
40,
He's got it.
20, 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
It's an amazing, amazing play. And really the main reason I wanted to play that on the air today was for our dear friend at KQRS, James Kurtzel, a Buffalo, New York native. Hey, happy 25th anniversary, James, baby.
You still owe me a pizza.
You know it. 3 weeks later, of course, the Titans made it all the way to the Super Bowl and lost a nail biter could have tied the game on the final play of the game. And so the Titans hit the scene. I mean, Super Bowl, first year in town, and they've sucked ever since. So, okay, fair enough.
Number 1 pick in the spring.
They'll blow it. They will make a mess of it. On this day in 2004, Pete Rose released a book called My Prison Without Bars. Oh, get over yourself, Pete. He had spent the previous 14 years denying vociferously that he'd ever bet on baseball. But in the book, he said, no, actually, I did. He denied, however, the claims that he bet against his own team and that he bet on an almost everyday basis. And then 3 years after that, he said, actually, I did bet every night. Yeah, sorry. Pete, my prison without bars? No, honey, go to prison and then tell me about prison.
Yeah.
Put him in the Hall of Fame, put an asterisk next to his name, put a black mark next to it. He's a hell of a baseball player. He's a gambling addict. It happens.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
It is 7 o'clock, and we're very happy to have you with us. First things first. Kids in the Hall, one of the great sketch comedy shows of all time. Our friends from the North. One of the cast members, Dave Foley, who you know from Kids in the Hall, News Radio, and a lot of other projects. He was just in the last season of Fargo, the guy with the eye patch. He's going to be on the show in just a little while, later this hour. Dave Foley is part of a new documentary that's streaming today called Alien Perspective. UFO encounters, extraterrestrial life, something Dave Foley's very, very passionate about investigating and studying. And he and the director of this new documentary, Dean Alioto, will be with us on the show. Dave and I are old buddies, as it turns out. He's a really funny guy. And I'm very curious as to when this whole UFO thing started with him. But apparently, it's a fascinating documentary, so we're going to be chatting with them in about 20 minutes. I'm looking very forward to that.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it will be cool. And by the way, that last season of Kids in the Hall, they threw up on Amazon a couple years ago after like 30 years. Great. Really funny stuff, man.
Yeah.
So let's get on to some more news that's very important today from Florida. I'll just let that sit there for a minute. Check this out. If you're going to drive after you have a couple, at least understand that it's a terrible decision. It's really bad. And as much as you're a great drunk driver, no, you're not. You might think you're not.
You're not.
And in a world full of ride shares and with a world, just don't. That's the thing. If you do and you get pulled over, just give it up. Because think about it. When you're the sober person at a party, you're so aware. You can tell to within 5% how much alcohol everyone around you has had. You can talk to someone, he's on his first drink. He's on his third. He's on his ninth. When you're stone cold sober, you read everybody's alcohol intake really, really clearly. When you're one of the people drinking, you just assume everyone's as drunk as you. It's not a way to go through life. So all this to say, imagine now not being the sober guy at a party, but imagine being a cop. And you pull someone over. The cop knows you're drunk before you even open your window.
Immediately, yes.
They know when you are when you're spinning a story. They know. They see your footwork. They see your eyes. They know. But, hey, these things happen. A 22-year-old Hooters waitress was pulled over by a police officer. Her name is Sophia. She's 22. She lives in Sarasota. The chest cam footage from the officer is now online, and Sophia really, really, really overestimated her ability to charm the arresting officer, as it turned out. We'll just give you a little taste of the conversation they had.
We're gonna make out here. Okay. Gonna make out here.
No, we're not.
Turn off lights. Right there. Turn off lights.
All right.
I gotta pee, bro.
I know.
Bro, I gotta pee.
Okay, do you want to try this first exercise for me?
I will do anything for you, Daddy.
Hey.
Daddy.
All right, can you put your feet together?
Put my feet together.
And your hands on your side.
Whatever you say, Daddy.
Okay. Are you wearing contacts right now?
Are you wearing contacts right now?
No, I'm wearing glasses. Hey, Sophia.
I swear to God, I'm wearing contacts.
Like 2 seconds.
Why are you such a nerd, bro?
Come on, bro. First thought here is, for those of my buddies that like to go out to Sturgis, we've often commented that Sturgis was a lot more fun before phones. Because now everyone's recording everything, and the mom that came out or the single attorney female professional that comes out there and decides to let her hair down and show her boobs out at the rally is now going to end up on Facebook with a boob shot. So a lot of that has gone away. And since they've introduced chest cams, probably a pretty good thing for police officers and the public as a whole. I'm not going to poo-poo chest cams, but this officer right now is thinking, if I didn't have this chest cam, back in the old days, the old officers, I wonder how they would have handled it. Well, she's fun.
This woman, for the record, she unzips her jacket to show her Hooters tank top, and she is clearly vaccinated. This woman, just a quick to catch you up on things. A report from the vaccine now causing breasts to grow rapidly. This woman's very well endowed, and she doesn't have a chest cam. She's got a put your chest cam on this chest vibe going. It's very, very strong. The cop sounds like he's actually just doing all he can not to laugh. Some of the time he's like, but when she's immediately calling him daddy, and she starts saying, we're going to make out. And when he says, no, we're not, she goes, stop being such a nerd about it.
I mean, this is, now that we've heard it once, the second time around is even better.
We're going to make out here. Okay. We're going to make out here.
No, we're not. Here,
turn off the lights.
Right there.
Turn off the lights.
All right.
I got to pee, bro.
I know.
Bro, I got to pee.
Okay, do you want to try this first exercise for me?
I will do anything for you, Daddy.
All right. Can you put your feet together?
Put my feet together.
And your hands on your side.
Whatever you say, Daddy.
Okay. Are you wearing contacts right now?
Are you wearing contacts right now?
No, I'm wearing glasses. Hey, Sophia. Here,
I swear to God, I'm wearing contacts.
Like 2 seconds.
Why are you such a nerd, bro?
Come on, bro.
I think my favorite is, are you wearing contacts right? Are you wearing contacts right now?
Would you like to be in contact? Yeah.
And he says, I'm wearing glasses. It's just fantastic. By the way, this is only funny because, of course, no one got hurt. No innocent person was hurt by this idiot drunk driver. She was breathalyzed an hour after the pullover began. An hour later, and she still blew a .33.
Well, oh my God. I don't want to give away this Hallmark movie ending, but I think her and the cop get married.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how this one ends.
Man, they're gonna she going in for processing, and he saw that mugshot, and he was like, the camera really, really loves this girl's face. I didn't recognize it. I didn't see it in real life.
I swear to God, I'm wearing contacts.
Like 2 seconds.
Why are you such a nerd, bro?
It's fantastic.
They didn't post the video of her on the way to jail, just bawling her eyes out. I bet she got a nice mug shot. Yeah.
22 years old, by the way. My daughter's 22 years old. If I saw, if this were something, I can't even complete the thought. It would be so. I guarantee my daughter would be the first. She would be like, "Please just put me in jail for the rest of my life. I'm so ashamed."
Yeah.
That child, that kid. I don't have to worry about Marley with that though. I don't think she had a drink till she was 20, almost 21. Seriously, the first time she ever had a sip of anything. And she drinks now, but she's just way too focused on being a mature adult. I don't know where she came from. But man, that is shocking to think about. I look back at 22 years old. When I was 22, I thought I was an adult. I thought I was living on my own. I was paying my own rent, making pizzas. I thought this is adulthood. I was like 7 when I was 22 years old. There's just absolutely ridiculous to think a 22-year-old has any idea what's happening in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. About 25, you start to figure a few things out, and by 30, you're embarrassed of everything you did when you were 22 years old. Doesn't this guy from yesterday just sound sweet as hell by comparison?
Stop for a DUI investigation. Do you have your license on you?
I do.
Okay. Where are you coming from?
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight, and I was dropping her off near the In-N-Out off of Temecula.
Okay.
And I'm heading my way back off of,
You're the DUI tonight? Do you mean to say the DD?
No. Oh, that cute little nerd. And then we
We're
get...
going to make out here.
Okay. We're going to make out here.
No, we're not.
Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
All right.
I got to pee, bro.
I know.
Bro, I got to pee.
Man, that's That's something.
Maybe those
definitely something.
Hey, I don't know where that kid was at, but maybe these two crazy kids will meet in DUI alcohol classes, and there's another ending for the Hallmark movie. I'm just saying.
Hey, man, if he starts heading east from California and she starts heading west from Sarasota, somebody in Kansas is going to get a double DUI arrest out of this. That's going to be fantastic.
A double DD.
There's another great DUI in Canada. A guy driving down the road in Canada called the police to report a drunk driver. Okay, he in Vancouver. Guy calls us, hey, man, there's a drunk driver. He's pulled over on the side of the road, just so you know. Police show up at the scene. They find that another motorist had intervened. This suspected drunk driver was being prevented from driving away. So somebody called in and said, I see a car. He's swerving. He must be drunk. Yeah. That car pulls over. Another motorist pulls over in front of him to block him from leaving the scene, being a good Samaritan.
Yeah.
Police get there and they're like, well, the motorist that was originally reported to be swerving, he's sober as a judge. He's just got bad vision and he couldn't see.
Oh,
okay. The car that was blocking him in, that guy was wasted. You following me?
What
the original driver that was swerving and was suspected of being drunk, he just had problems driving in the dark, and he pulled over for everyone's safety. The car that saw him and called it in and then boxed him in on the shoulder to keep everybody else safe, that driver actually was drunk.
That's a twist I did not see coming. That's crazy. You're drunk. Just go home. Get yourself home. You're already behind the wheel. Yeah. And then you decide you have this brilliant flash of Dudley Do-Right. Okay.
I understand a lot of things.
That's awesome.
A lot of things go through your mind when you're drunk. I have a million great ideas when I'm drunk. I don't know about you. So I can imagine if this guy's driving drunk, he has a great idea, which is, I'll tell the cops this other guy's drunk.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see when you're behind the wheel, a little schwieled, is a cop. So then you call the cop. This guy had to be just blotto.
That's good stuff right there. By the way, I love the idea that somebody was like, no, I'm just not a good driver in the dark.
Yeah.
Canada.
Both of them shouldn't be on the road. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Very, very true. Hey, I want to say good morning to Bloomington. Hey, Bloomington, good morning. There, I said it.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Excellent.
Come on, Bloomington.
Bloomington.
Come on. Speaking of really friendly Canadians, Dave Foley, Kids in the Hall, a believer, a man who I would imagine has had some sort of experiences in life, and we're going to find out. I'm a buddy of Dave's, and a few years ago I noticed on social media he was posting a lot about aliens and UFOs, and I was like, wow, what's going on with Dave? Right. He's all in. He and a director named Dean Alioto, part of a new documentary that's streaming on Amazon and Apple as of today called Alien Perspective. It sounds fascinating. We will discuss that documentary with the director, Dean, and the great Dave Foley. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
All right, joining us on the KQ Morning Show right now, Dave Foley, who you know most as a member of Kids in the Hall or any number of other projects, most recently Fargo. Dave, nice job in Fargo, brother, I got to say.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Man, it was great. Very happy to see you there. Joining Dave is Dean, help me with this, Alioto? Alioto. And you guys are here to discuss your documentary, Dean, The Alien Perspective. So first things first, Dave and I go back almost 35 years. And and I noticed on Instagram a few years ago, Dave Foley was starting to post things about extraterrestrials, alien life and encounters. And like I imagine a lot of people, Dave, my first thought was, what's the bit? Where's this going? And then it dawned on me, oh, no, this is very, very serious. So before we get into the documentary, actually, The Alien Perspective, how long has this been a part of your life, Dave?
Well, I'd say going back to early childhood, I was my first time I thought about UFOs was when I watched the old Jerry Anderson series UFO, the guy that made all the Marionation shows.
Okay.
So that's when I first heard of UFOs. But yeah, it was like I got into it more seriously when the Phoenix Lights happened, and started looking into it. And then when the French came out with their report, the Cometa report, where the French government basically said in 2003, UFOs are real and they're probably extraterrestrial.
Right.
But, oh, that's interesting. And no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
And then, then a few years later, I saw some documentaries that really kind of opened my awareness of a lot of the history, and got into it. And then got into it pretty deeply, and then wound up having a UFO experience a few years back. And that's when I started talking about it on Twitter.
Right.
And and a lot of people sort of said, "Is this a bit? Are you serious?" And of course, a lot of people just said, "Are you okay?" In fact, a good friend of mine, Tom Wheeler, who's a screenwriter, and his wife said, "Well, Dave's talking about UFOs," and he said, "Well, I should call him up to see if he's all right." And I started explaining to him what was going on. Yeah. And now Tom and I have done 50 episodes of our own UFO podcast.
Right. So, Dave, what was the experience? You saw something that you just realized, oh, this is actually happening, I'm assuming.
I was with my friend and UFO journalist, Jeremy Corbell, who's made documentaries as well. And we were out walking his dog through an orange grove, and it was a beautiful night. And I said, this would be a great night to see something. And 30 seconds later, Jeremy goes, "Turn around, Dave." And there was a large orange glowing object in the distance. And it circled the valley we were in, got in front of us. It was a clearly structured craft with 3 lights on the front of it. And then the whole body of it was pulsing with this orange light. And it hung in front of us for about a minute and then disappeared behind the mountains. So that's what made me go, well, there, I saw a UFO.
It kind of I had a similar experience, not with a UFO, but I'm the idiot who used to go to LA and go, I'd just like to feel a little earthquake just so I could say I did it. And then Northridge happened. And then I got on a plane as soon as I could and lost my mind for a week. Did you have any unexpected, really strong emotional reaction to this? Or did you kind of go, yeah, I thought that was real?
Well, what I had was the weirdest part of the whole experience was the fact that Jeremy and I, neither of us had any reaction. Even though Jeremy's dedicated his whole adult life to this subject, neither of us had any emotional reaction to it at all. So my feeling was that the thing we were looking at was in control of our response, and all of our emotions were tamped down. Like we had no emotional response at all. At one point, Jeremy mutters, "I'm not even going to try to take a picture." And this is a guy who practices getting his phone out quickly to take pictures if you ever get a chance. But when he has one hanging in front of us, he goes, "I'm not," and I said, "Jeremy, you were fighting it. That's why you said that out loud. You were fighting whatever it was instructing us to do."
Wow. That's pretty fantastic, that response. And then the way you're processing that. Yeah. I've never heard anyone say that before. That's amazing. We're talking on the KQ Morning Show about UFOs and alien life. There's a documentary, The Alien Perspective, that is streaming everywhere today. Dean Aliotto is the director and writer of this. Dean, I got to ask you, do you also have an experience that you can share where you can go, oh, no, I saw that? Or is this more of an academic like Dave before? You've just read and always been fascinated with these things?
Kind of none of the above. Okay. For me, it was... It's kind of fertilizer for the imagination, because we don't want to believe that we're the only ones here. And if we do believe that, that's kind of hubris on our behalf. Sure. The universe is billions of years older than we are. So surely someone came along a bit earlier and developed a bit earlier. I think, my interest in it has been not just as a writer, but also I haven't had my own experience. And so I think that I have been pursuing this so doggedly, like Spielberg, who has never seen anything, because we want to recreate it. And so I did that with a film called The McPherson Tape years ago. And then I started doing documentaries for A&E, Bravo, Discovery. And I thought, all right, well, it's time for me to dip into exploring this and seeing, is there some veracity? Is there truth to this? And how deep does it go? And it goes pretty deep. I can attest it's taken 7 years of my life, 66 interviews across 4 countries, and culminated in this thing that starts out of NASA and ends up going to a pretty fantastical place in the documentary. And so it was really eye-opening, and it was Yeah, all the questions that you would have, I got a chance to answer with the top minds. Michio Kaku, Nick Bostrom, who's the author of the Simulation Reality Hypothesis, that we live in a simulation. Yeah, it just sets me off on a journey. I don't know what's motivating me, but it's something, because I've never stuck in anything longer than 6 months or a year.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the list of people who appear in the documentary. You've got retired USA Security Forces, Navy Radar Specialist Chief. You've got retired Navy Master at Arms, British Ministry of Defense, senior astronomers, and then, of course, Dave Foley.
Yeah.
You know, right.
Yeah.
But no,
I kind of undermine the credibility of the whole project, I'm afraid.
Well, you've got to have a little ballast in there. You know, there's got to be there's got to be the approachable. Hey, I know that guy. You know, there's that put a good face on it, a welcoming face on this conversation. I would imagine and there's plenty more people that are part of this documentary. They're obviously not all repeating the same talking points. It sounds like you got a pretty wide range of theories and opinions and philosophies.
Well, it really kind of covers the gamut from what I guess would almost be called prosaic theory, which is that they're coming from another planet because we see them flying around in the air. But they could be from another dimension. They could be from the future. They could have created us. We look at all of those possible theories or explanations, and the more we have brilliant minds like the ones coming out of Montana Tech, Michael P. Masters, who talks about and has a pretty damn good case that they could be us from the future, then it kind of starts to cement it in a way that again blows your mind. And my job as a filmmaker is to convey that in a way where you can take it in and enjoy it and have fun. There's levity in it, but we also have animation that is showing you what it's like. So everyone's heard of the Tic Tac story. A lot of people have heard of the Tic Tac UFO encounters with the Navy. We actually get to see it. We actually, through animation, get to be in the cockpit with Commander Dave Fravor and outside looking at his jet from the aliens' perspective. And so it's very cinematic. It's not your typical doc. Dave brings levity to it, and but also a great mind. I mean, you'd be surprised what everyone brings. It's kind of like a potluck. Everyone brings their special sauce. And so my job was to curate that in a way that it made sense, where you started out at NASA and then you end up, in the more fantastical.
The Alien Perspective is the name of this documentary. It's releasing digitally today. People can go track it down. In the notes for the film, it says, for the first time, you're actually thinking of the perspective of the visitors themselves. I'm not asking you to give away too much of it. We want people to go watch it. But how do you even begin to present that, like the perspective of the visitors?
Well, first of all, you have to talk to their agents, which is a real pain in the ass.
Always a pain.
Yeah. And then once you get past that, there's things that they can talk about, things they can't. It becomes like how for me, it started out, the approach to even ask that question was, how do we deal with more primitive civilizations and societies that we have on the planet right now, and how we try to do the prime objective, which is like directive, which is like Star Trek, where we don't want to interfere, but we would be interested. And so looking at humans, what would their reaction be? And because they're so advanced technology-wise, I'm assuming that they were able to transcend all of the arguments and wars on their planet. And so how would they perceive us and what we're doing? And how does that help inform who we are and what our development is and what our evolution will ultimately be?
Man, do any idea? Do these people like rock music? I mean, I just got to ask.
I saw your drum shirt.
Well, yeah, so. We would love to, have someone else on the show eventually. We're gonna have to tease them with some Skynyrd and Zeppelin though on this. So doing what we can. So this is as you said, years and years. Are you? What's next? I mean, is there like a whole nother realm of this in the back of your mind somewhere? Are you waiting to see where this one goes? I to your point, I can imagine once you start down this, I'm not going to call it a rabbit hole. It's more like a bear hole. Once you start down this, it's got to be kind of hard to think about doing something else.
Well, Again, it was going to be just a one feature, and it's now a two-parter. And so the second one has its own dynamics. And so that's why these two are separate. That one will probably come out before the summer.
Wow.
But it also spurned two other documentaries that were being shot simultaneously that kind of branched off. David, for you, how has this journey been for you? Is it, I mean, you've got a podcast now. That's great. If you haven't listened to it, people should listen to it. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's the thing. I think looking at this subject draws you into questioning a lot of other things, and for me, it's like questioning the things I felt sure about growing up. As an atheist, and as a material reductionist, I thought everything can be reduced. We just need enough data, and my faith in that has been altered by this subject. And I'm now more open to, I guess, a more esoteric view of the world. So it affects you, and it takes you and makes you open your mind up to considering a lot of really interesting subjects. I think most people who get into this usually wind up then being very curious about consciousness and how that's involved in this phenomenon. And people then it also seems to be connected to what happens to us when we die, oddly enough. So it's a weird. It draws you into a lot of other things, and I think one of the nice things about like people like Dean. Dean's part of like a new wave of, I think, filmmakers that are bringing skill as a filmmaker and documentary maker, and bringing a level of like seriousness and credibility to it that was missing, I think, in decades past on the subject.
Yeah, I was thinking about how quickly, I mean, in the grand scheme of things change. Like Spielberg put out Close Encounters in 78, 77. And it was a great, I remember as a kid going to see it, and we talked about it. It's, everyone talked about it for a while, but it was also like, yeah, but that's kooky. I mean, we know that's not real. And like a lot of other, I guess, issues or just storylines you could talk about, there just seems to be this shift. It only takes a couple generations to where suddenly it's almost like accepted now that, oh yeah, no, they're out. We don't know what they are, but at least we agree something's out there.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of, it's not a lot, it's only a few decades from when people would laugh and point and call you weirdo to now going like, oh, what do you think?
Yeah. I think it's only about 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Like this morning, Dean and I have been doing interviews today, and the just a few years ago, to your face, it would have been derision and mockery and giggling and everyone playing the X-Files theme.
Yeah.
And that's changed. That's all changing very rapidly.
I think there's just a cut into the DNA respect for Navy pilots. And when they come out and start saying stuff, I'm kind of serious. It's like, wait a minute, those guys are actual like pilots in the Navy, and they're saying, I don't know what I saw, but I know it looked like this. And, those things start to leak out, and then you recognize. And in fact, I spoke to a Navy pilot, my brother's brother-in-law in 1991. I had just an offhand conversation with a kid. I grew up playing Little League baseball with him, and then now he's a Navy pilot. And I said, you ever see anything up there? And he just looked at me, he goes, yeah. I go, no, I mean, you ever see anything up there? You don't know what it is. He goes, yeah, I know what you mean. And the answer is, yeah. And that's all he would say. And I was like, I mean, it locked in my brain. I was like, okay, then. And he's not fit to hyperbole. That's not his vibe.
No, my favorite criticism is by scientists who say that these pilots that are manning these, tens of millions of dollars, arsenal flying around, that they're not scientists, so they wouldn't know, what they're looking at. And I'm kind of like, you're a scientist, you're not a jet fighter pilot who's only trained to identify that. So you wouldn't know. If we threw you in the cockpit, you wouldn't be able to identify anything.
Yeah, these guys could tell the profile of an enemy fighter from 20 miles away.
Yeah,
visually.
Right. That's exactly.
They can eyeball it and figure out what it is. But they can't at close range tell the difference between the Tic Tac or an exhaust flare from a jet. It's just absurd. The absurdity of it is clearly and obvious.
Yeah.
Look, if you project this out into the future, we're going to be doing that. We're absolutely going to be visiting other planets, and we're going to get as close as we can, and we're going to be observing. So why wouldn't another civilization more advanced than us? We do that, again, already with civilizations on this planet that are living, in more of a primitive way.
Yeah.
The Alien Perspective documentary, I see Apple TV. Is it on other servers as well?
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon.
Okay, great. That is, I will be checking this out. So, gentlemen, thank you both for your time. Absolutely fantastic. And Dave, I got to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't. Not only Fargo, but the entire extra late, no one expected it coming season of Kids was great. But my God, the Doomsday DJ will live forever.
Thank you. Yeah, that got a lot of surprising amount of interest, that scene.
I'm sure it did.
Thanks. And what a great, for me, what a great delight to see you.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure, man. I told the story recently of the first time we met, and Bruce went to jail that night. It's one of my favorite nights ever.
Yes.
So
going to bail him out in Atlanta. Yeah.
Nothing like it. Guys, all the best with the documentary. And Dave, the podcast is called Talking Strange Paranormal. That's with, is that what it's called?
Oh, no. Mine's called Really with Tom and Dave.
I just realized I looked at the wrong note. Yeah, Really with Tom and Dave. Really, ? With Tom and Dave. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right on. Fellas, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
See you.
Thanks, Steve. Great to see you.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
How about Dave Foley turning into, by the way, this is something I need to share with you. All of these smart people from all these different walks of life telling you about alien encounters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't convince me anymore. But listen, here's all I've ever said is, I don't know. Put some proof in front of me. A smart person telling me, has screwed me over many times in my life. I don't know what to think about a smart person telling me something.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to my taxes in 1998 when a smart person said this would be the thing to do. Or in 2008 when a smart person told me to buy a condo in the spring of 2008. All I'm saying is...
do I have a 2007 real estate story for off-air sometime?
All right, we'll get into it.
My.
I just like to see some hard evidence myself. And I'm not talking about, what the hell was that in the air? Was that a drone? Was that a blinking light? I think I saw a UFO. There's aliens. No, I need one to come up and slap me in the face. Yeah,
and by
buy
the way,
me a beer.
I've kind of been on that same tip, right, exactly as you described it. But if I ever do see something, I won't be like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. I just want to see it to believe it. But I won't be shocked if it turns out to be the case.
No, it's probable.
So that conversation, it was clearly something we did ahead of time. But if you want to check out the podcast, the entire uncut version of that lengthy chat we had earlier will be available on the KQ Morning Show podcast. So check that out wherever you get your podcasts, of course, as long as we're talking. And by the way, hey, it is spring is right around the corner.
Sure it is.
We have been putting together a little bit of a midweek mixtape on the show today. If you have a suggestion, feel free to weigh in on the KQ Talking text line 651-989-ROCK. The theme of the day: fantasy football leagues have wrapped up their season. The loser of these leagues usually has to do something kind of embarrassing, kind of annoying. What if the loser of your fantasy football league had to sing a song before an NFL playoff game in a packed stadium? What song would you have them sing? We've had a ton of great suggestions on the KQ Talking text line, and we'll share a few of those with you here momentarily. It is the year 2025. Good gracious.
Weird.
It's so weird. I can remember very, very clearly thinking about how weird it will be to say it's the year 2000. Like when Prince's 1999 came out in 1983, I remember thinking, like, man, that is so far from now. I mean, 1999, my God, that's 16 years away. What's going to happen? And now to think 2025, we've been in this 2000 things for a quarter of a century, and I'm still going, what's happening? This doesn't make any sense. I was very happy in the 19s. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, someone the other day said, I think it was my daughter, said 25. I said, what? She goes, it's 25. I said, oh my God, yeah, I'm still saying 2025. What year am I? We just get, because when I grew up, it was, 78, 88, 92, 96, whatever. And we're still saying what in 2025? No, it's just 25. I just can't get used to it yet here. 25 years into the frickin' century.
Yeah, we also we doubled down on confusion in the Gorman household because we had our first child in 2000, our second child in 2002. So that immediately meant the next 10 years were going to be a wash as far as keeping track, remembering things in any kind of order, what happened when, what year was it. And it was easier when it was 87, 88, 94, 95. When I look at things historically, and they'll say, well, in 2004 this happened, or in 2009 this happened. It's the only decade of my life where it's all the same. I lost that whole decade because I have a really, really specific memory, and it is chronological, and I remember things in order. And it just lost its way in 2000, like in a bad, bad way. And it was midway through the teens. It was like 2015 before it started kind of coming back around again, where I can look back and go, oh, yeah, that's the year this happened.
Right. Y2K didn't crash our computers. It crashed your brain.
It really did. It absolutely did.
Yeah.
I was a man of my time, and my time ended December 31st, 1999, apparently. It's kind of a drag to think about it. But here we are in 2025. And 100 years ago, in 1925, a lot of people were looking ahead, as they do. And there were some predictions made from different walks of life, very famous predictions made in the year 1925 about the year 2025. And we thought we'd share a few of those with you. And you know what else? As long as we're going to share some predictions for this year from 100 years ago, why don't we also look ahead? If you have a prediction for the year 2125, feel free to share it with us on the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. I got a few thoughts about where the world will be in 100 years. But before that, let's go back, though. Let's look at 100 years ago. Sir Ronald Ross, a British doctor who received a Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1902 for his studies on malaria, told an audience in London, England, he said 100 years from now, in the year 2025, the life expectancy for the average person will be 150 years old.
Well, we've talked about. Yeah.
They do say. Now, he may be only off by a few years because scientists and doctors say the first 150-year-old human has already been born.
Yeah, I'm just so glad I dodged that bullet. I mean, we were just talking about it the other day, and I was like, I think I can safely make it to 70. After that, I'm probably screwed. But 150, that means you have to work until, what, you're 100?
145.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, I don't have a plan for a, 80-year retirement. Or an 8.
I'm turning 60 this year, and if somebody came to me and said, hey, great news, you got 90 years left.
I mean, it's been a blast, but we've been living on the assumption that we're going to be checking out at, somewhere around, let's say 80-ish.
Yeah, sure.
So if somebody just suddenly tacked on another 90 years, it'd be alarming. It'd be startling.
The same guy, Ronald Ross, who said 100 years ago that there would be people living to be 150, said new fabrics will no doubt be invented, combining the warmth of fur with the softness and flexibility of silk and the strength of linen.
Is that Gore-Tex or what?
I'm not sure what it is, but you know what? I don't have time to make sense of that, but I think he was right.
Yeah.
I think
I'd give him
safe
that
to
one.
say that's true.
He was thinking of those stretch pants that chicks would be wearing around.
This one is going to kind of freak you out. Dr. A.R. Wentz was a professor at the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
And 100 years ago, this is a quote. People will use a pocket-sized apparatus for communications to see and hear each other without being in the same room.
Whoa. Big swing and a miss there. Still waiting for that. Where's my phone? I can't see my phone. My phone's not immediately in front of me. Ah!
That's pretty incredible, man. I'm sorry. That guy was on mushrooms when he said that, clearly.
Okay. I think in 1925, it was still, weren't we hand cranking phones and stuff like that? So, yeah, that's quite a leap there. That's not bad.
Archibald Lowe. Anybody named Archibald, I'm always on their side. A British scientist 100 years ago, suggested that in the year 2025, the world will have television machines. He didn't describe them as television, but he said you will be able to see moving images on a thing in your house. Breakfast tubes, automatic sleep beds, wireless banking, moving sidewalks. This guy was truly tapping into some crazy stuff, but this is my favorite. He said a very useful service will be the radio alarm clock. Signals will be sent out at frequent intervals on different wavelengths, say between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. every morning. Setting the alarm clock to catch the signal at the desired time will avoid any risk of oversleeping. Okay, he didn't have the process down, but the idea that there was something called an alarm clock, he was dead on the money on that one. I give him credit.
Yeah, right. We can't even oversleep during daylight saving time clock changes anymore because our frickin' phone does it for us. We don't even have that excuse like on Sunday mornings, like, oh, sorry, I didn't reset my. No,
absolutely ridiculous.
You did. Your phone did it.
He did shoot a little over. He got out over his skis on this one. The airport of the future. So in 1925. Airports were pretty, what was the word? Remedial. I mean, there was just like an airstrip and a kiosk, if that.
They had to turn the prop to get the plane started.
Exactly. This is what he said. The air traveler in 2025 will walk into a comfortable and well-appointed waiting room in the center of the city. An elevator will take him up to the roof where he will step direct into a roomy and really comfortable airplane cabin. There will be no bumping over a hilly airdrome, but the machine mounted on a turntable will be shot off into the air by catapults and travel through space at over 300 miles per hour. Man, if only.
Yeah. If they were listening to him instead of the way we're doing it now, packed in there like sardines.
Anytime you get an opportunity to use and just be involved in any sort of thing with a catapult, you got to take advantage of it.
You got to.
Missing the catapult years. Shakopee, good to have you with us this morning. Shout out to Shakopee, Minnesota.
Good morning, Shakopee. Good
morning.
Shakopee.
I wonder what was going on in Shakopee in 1925. I'm fairly certain I can tell you a few things that are going to happen in 21-25. Let's look ahead 100 years. Let's call our shot for 21-25. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Good morning to you. We were just discussing a moment ago some predictions that some real smarty pants dudes made 100 years ago about this year. 1925, people were making predictions about the year 2025. A few of those, really on the money. I especially like the guy talking about, what's going to be great is an alarm clock. We'll come around to that one of these days. One day there'll be a clock that will wake you up at a specific time, and you can trust it. That's pretty fantastic.
Put the rooster out of business.
It's just another sign that we've already peaked. I remember, but boy, the clock radio. Let's go back to our childhood. You plug that thing in, you have a digital readout, and then you could set it to have an alarm, or it just turns the radio on as your alarm. Yeah. Did you ever have that one?
Oh yeah.
What are you kidding?
What I liked about that, they were fairly cheap, and if you were super hungover, you could whip it against the wall and feel good about it for a minute. But you can't do that with an $800 phone, man.
Well, you can, but you don't feel good about it. It's still it hasn't even hit the wall yet, and you're like, ooh, no,
son of a
jeez. But 100 years from now. Oh, by the way, real quick, we did have a text on the text line 651-989-ROCK when I mentioned there were predictions from 1925, and the first text I saw, someone said, "So what did Keith Richards predict?" Which is pretty solid. But a few predictions have come in for 2025. 21-25. Let's now look ahead 100 years. 100 years from now, what on earth do we think will be happening? Here's a text that came in. 21-25, 2 words, Soylent Green. There you have it.
It's people! That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Mike texted in, by 21-25, the Jetson mobile will be a real deal. I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that robot maids will actually be more effective as well.
Oh, exactly. You're right. Although I don't like the Jetson vehicle, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't want to carry my freaking car around with me like a briefcase all day. I've already got the phone to carry around. Now I got to carry around my freaking car. Can I just park it and leave it? I'll come back to it.
That's a very good point.
Overthinking it.
Looking ahead 100 years, do you guys have any thoughts on where we might be as a people, as a planet, as a species? Any predictions for 100 years from now? Zepp, got anything?
I have a few if you've got some time here.
Please, I'm all ears.
Minnesota is still struggling to open up marijuana dispensaries. The Cannabis Commission is now shooting for 2225.
Right, okay, all right.
True.
You're waving that flag strong and proud.
The Vikings have won 99 straight Super Bowls. They just get on a run. They just go on a tear, man.
Patriots, that was nothing.
Yeah, right. And then there's just one more here. This one pretty wild. Apparently, in the year 2125, the statue of me that was erected in downtown Funkley, Minnesota, will be torn down when it's discovered that I used to eat my boogers while in commercial breaks. Which I don't. A total fallacy. They come up with that 100 years from now, and it's just one of those wild rumors that gets spread, and pretty soon the statue's in the river down there in Funkley, Minnesota.
I can't believe people actually read my tweets. Sorry, I was just trying to be fun. I was just trying to, have a laugh.
Yeah.
Man. Ryder, got any thoughts?
Well, obviously, the Lions will have won 99 Super Bowls.
Okay, all right.
Now I don't know who to bet
on my list.
Okay. I look ahead to 2125, and I think I would be willing to bet this. The biggest selling album or collection of songs released in whatever format in the year, it's going to be called, no, really, this time, for real, no kidding, this is the end, a compilation of songs by the Beatles.
Good. That's something to look forward to.
They still have 100 years, and then finally it'll start to wane. I do think by 2125 that Southern California will reclaim itself and repurpose itself for what it was always supposed to be, an uninhabitable desert.
Oh, my goodness. No kidding. I'm just waiting for that sucker to fall in the ocean. And I lived in California.
I mentioned here that I was out there for a little bit of our break. I went out and did a little road trip out there. And it's just, it reminds you that, God, this is some amazing terrain. Just ecology out there. The whole thing's fantastic. And then you whip into San Francisco. And that's it. That's all I've got for you.
That's just
like, oh, okay. No, I don't know.
It's amazing. Southern California, anyway, which is now the Los Angeles fires. We haven't talked about those today. It's just absolutely horrific to see what's happening out there.
Yeah.
But then again, it's hardly a surprise. The only, I guess, silver lining is they were saying, 2 days ago, hey, get out if you can. This is coming. It's inevitable. Somebody will start a fire, and the winds are just going to take care of the rest of it. Between that and the earthquakes and the always pending tsunami and everything else that's going on out there, at some point somebody was like, yeah, we rerouted that whole Colorado River to get over here and grow some nice yards. Maybe we really shouldn't have been playing God in the 1920s. Maybe we went a little too far out over our skis, as they say.
We didn't know no better.
My son Connell, a Los Angeles resident now, had to blow out and find a place to crash last night. He's in a part of town called Brentwood, and at some point the fire got to within a mile of him. And we were
close.
Like, hey, dude, 80-mile-an-hour winds and embers, a mile is nothing.
Nothing.
It's literally nothing. And he, blasted over, got in east, and had a buddy. He's crashing somewhere. He's nowhere near any. And then now it's several fires. Now there's even one over way east in Pasadena. If you know anything about that area, there's 3 fires, and they're not all connected. There's miles in between them. It's terrifying out there. So to anybody who's got friends and family in California, which includes all of us, man, we're thinking of everybody out there. Good luck for everyone to stay safe. It is rough.
Yes.
Here's something from the future, not 100 years in the future, but this is a story that I'm fascinated by, and it's something I just did not realize. So, as far as we know, according to NASA, 675. Well, this is funny. It says more than 675. So let's just call it 676 people have traveled to space in all time, like forever. It's we've been going to space since the first, for early 60s, the first time someone got up and did an orbit, you could officially say they were in space, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it was 59. I want to say it was the 60s. But anyway, a long time, over 60 years. So still not even 700 people can say they've been to space. NASA says not one single recorded case of sex in space. No one has gone to space.
Really?
And had sex. Well, with maybe
I mean, on the record. I'm just saying, you got a space station up there. You've got international astronauts hanging out together. Not someone didn't go, all right, that's it, kill the lights. And
everybody's hooked up to, sensors, and they have information, and every moment is spoken for. So one of the reasons they say, one of the things they're thinking about is, well, pretty soon civilians will be involved in what they're calling space tourism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Elon Musk and Bezos, they just want to send people to space. And Richard Branson, have you got $200,000? Go to space. And so eventually the Mile High Club is going to be replaced by the 200 Mile High Club. And people are going to have to figure this out. But NASA has there's people who are trying to figure out how we're going to be able to make that happen. Because here's the thing, not as easy as you might think to have sex in zero gravity.
I can see there would be some complications. I understand the challenges. That, and suddenly, I believe that there's a job at NASA I'm qualified for.
That's exactly right.
I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
I'd like to, throw my in the ring.
The idea is a doctor at NASA was talking about the International Space Station. There's several reasons no one's ever knocked the nickels out of each other in space. First things, NASA doesn't allow married couples to go into space together. There are married couples that are both astronauts, but they never go together. Mostly that's due to group dynamics, generally speaking. There's also a code of conduct that calls for relationships of trust. Professional standards have to be maintained at all times. Mm-hmm. They're pretty confident when they say nobody's done it yet, but they also say it's only a matter of time. So one of the doctors at NASA, they're trying to figure out, for space tourism, you got to kind of come up with something. They're trying to create a suit, like a special type of thing, like a space suit that two people get into the same suit, if you will, zip themselves in. And then it goes way, way, way into the ditch when they start talking about, we're actually looking at dolphin-style sex to overcome the challenges of low gravity. Dolphin-style.
I'm Googling right now.
Are you ready for this? I'm not making this up. Dolphins, this is Dr. Shauna Pandya from NASA. She says dolphins they're kind of in a neutral buoyancy environment. So when two dolphins are trying to mate, a third dolphin will come in, taking one for the team, holds a partner in place so that the two dolphins can then mate. You have a third dolphin coming in, acting as a backstop, basically. Or, I'm just going to be the wall. You press this other dolphin up against me. You take care of business. We all swim away and go, and then we all have fun.
We all have that one friend that just can't, especially when we were younger, that just couldn't seem to get laid. You even felt some sympathy and at some point got involved and was like, hey, would you, my friend or whatever. Now that person has got to help other people have that, because that's the person you'll pick. It'll be like, hey, Archibald, get over here and push me into her. That's weird. I did Google it, by the way. The dolphin position, face-to-face sex that targets the G-spot and, help me out here, P-spot? What's the P-spot? The G-spot and the P-spot. A historic sex position taken from the Kama Sutra. All right.
Okay.
All right, but this one involves a third person involved. I don't know. I'd rather just borrow the sex suit after you've rinsed it out.
The two suit it does exist. It's called the two, the number two, followed by the word suit. The two suit. It's like a Snuggie for two people. They bind in together. It's a flight suit with a large front flap that can be opened and attached to another suit using Velcro strips. And then everything on the walls of the space station is covered in Velcro. So the suit has Velcro. You take advantage of that by Velcroing one partner to the wall. It just goes, I'm just, it's nice to know people are putting this much thought into these things.
I think they're working way too hard at it because it just sounds like a sleeping bag. Many people have made that work.
Yeah, many. So, you're right. This is just camping sex is all this is. All right,
What this really, I'll tell you what, this pulls the rug out. This pulls the rug out of ninth grade Steve Gorman, because I paid $5, 5 good hard-earned paper route dollars to go see a movie called Moonraker, a James Bond film. And by God, Roger Moore and Lois Chiles had sex in Moonraker weightless. I saw it. I believed it. I wanted to go to space because of it. And now you're telling me that probably didn't happen. I mean, come on. I just don't know who to believe about what anymore. Come on, I believe we've got re-entry. The re-entry joke I remember.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
When the Moonraker knows. Moonraker, an often overlooked chestnut from the Bond catalog. On the KQ Talk and text line, some predictions for 100 years from now. I was promised a flying car by now. I'm still waiting. Sure. Okay, here's one for 100 years. The Stones' final tour. Got it.
Sure.
2 words, Road Warrior. Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, well,
we're getting
could
closer.
Easily happen.
I don't think we need 100 years myself.
Right.
Let's see. Here's a text from Jim, Ryder's Dead. Sex and Space, 2 words, bungee cords. Okay.
And now we're back to stuff you take camping.
See?
Exactly.
Who knew camping and space travel had so much in common? So much common DNA in those 2 pursuits. I don't associate them in my mind together, but now maybe I should start doing that.
Oh, yeah.
You never know. All right, there's your future predictions from us. I think the only good news is none of us will be around to see how wrong we were. Well, Ryder, actually, you might be, because you know if you're going to live to 150, you'll still be here in 100 years.
That is true.
That's very true.
It seems too long already.
Well, save the notes and double check it when it happens.
On the 1?
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Bring it all back around. Don't lose the 1, Ryder. Don't lose the 1. All right, the top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
We were talking earlier today about, it's Wednesday. We like to throw together a little midweek mixtape, and the theme of today's mixtape was fantasy football loser. Loser leaves town, or in this case, loser has to do something. As we all know, fantasy football league's all wrapped up with the end of the regular season. What if the loser of your league had to sing a song in front of a sold-out stadium? Like, normally you have the national anthem. What if before the national anthem of a playoff game, the loser of your league had to step up to the mic and sing a tune for themselves? And we had a ton of text messages. Drew, I missed this one earlier. It's a pretty good one because a lot of guys are obviously thinking of their buddy who came in last, and they're imagining him walking out to the 50-yard line at U.S. Bank Stadium ahead of a playoff game and singing, according to Drew, Like a Virgin.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a really good one.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes.
Another one that it would just be great to watch anybody ever try to sing at any time. Loving You by Minnie Riperton.
I love it.
That's how I have to get way away from the mic to try to finish that one. The I'm a Little Teapot song is a pretty good one. A lot of both I'm a Loser by the Beatles and then Loser by Beck, of course, also coming in very strong. And then also we were discussing predictions from 100 years ago about life in 2025. What about predictions for 100 years from now, life in 2125? Red just texted this. 100 years from now, I will use time travel to come back to 2025. Oh, wait, I'm here, so I must have already used time travel. Oh, that's a good one. Boy, this is just coming in.
Sorry.
And this is really sad. Sad local news. The Suburbs, one of the big 70s and 80s bands of the Twin Cities, one of the most impactful and influential, certainly. Blaine John Beej Chaney, lead singer and guitarist, has died at the age of 68.
Oh, man.
This just in. Man, that is a drag. I just saw the Suburbs last year for the first time. It was one of those, I never saw him back in the day, and I finally got to go see him. Seems like he was out in Hermosa Beach, California, and apparently drowned. He was found on the beach on Hermosa Beach Sunday evening.
Son of a gun.
This is terrible news.
Terrible, yeah.
Boy, you're going to be hearing a lot about this over the next few weeks and months if you pay attention to the local music scene. St. Paul treasure hunt has begun. This is from Can Wonderland and St. Paul Brewing. They've got a game, The Hunt for the Golden Beer Can. They have placed a golden beer can somewhere in the public lands around St. Paul. The prize for the person who finds this will be a private party worth $1,000 at the arcade and beer for a year from St. Paul Brewing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let's go.
So we're not looking for a Coors can here, but an actual gold can. All right,
this is a much different looking beer can, to be sure. St. Paul Brewing's an awesome place to hang, to be sure.
Yeah.
They're going to be doling out clues Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Final clue January 26th, if it's still out there. 3 times a week. It's 6:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. A new clue will be released inside the brewery's phone booth. Go find that can and get beer for a year. It's enough to make me want to bundle up, honestly.
You know, they throw out a big cash prize for that medallion. What is it called? What I'm kind of missing the name.
St. Paul Carnival Winter Medallion.
The Winter Medallion. Because St. Paul Carnival gets started, here in a few weeks, towards the end of January. That'll kick off. And that's usually a pretty big cash prize, and people go nuts for that. But I love the beer can, the golden beer can. Free beer for a year. I think one of those big vats in there they have full of beers. Just be able to slap your name on it. That's your private vat, and you have a key to the tap, and only you. Make it happen.
Man, that sounds pretty good to me. All right, number 4 in your top 5 at 9. The Hershey Bears. That's a hockey team in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Every year they have a little something they do as part of the club's Hershey Bears Cares initiative. The team has a lot of philanthropic activities, volunteer efforts of Bear players. You know, minor league athletes dig into the local communities. They do a lot of great stuff, off the field, off the ice. Hershey Bears are one of those teams. And every year they have a tradition where at a game, upon the team's first goal, everybody has brought teddy bears into the arena, and then they throw them on the ice. The teddy bears are then collected and given to 35 different local and regional organizations. The Children's Miracle Network, all these various groups get a bunch of teddy bears. So a year ago, the team said, "Hey, let's set a hockey world record for teddy bears." Everybody doubled up, tripled up. A year ago, the first goal was scored in the game, in the Bear Cares game, and 74,599 bears were thrown onto the ice.
Wow.
74,000.
I mean, when you think of the capacity.
7,400 covers the ice.
Right, yeah. And I mean, you're talking about, probably about an arena like that size. What do you get? 5,000 people in there, 6 maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how big it is. 74,000.
This year, they said, okay, you know what? Let's break the world record again. Let's break another world record. They set a new world record. Remember, last year's was just under 75,000. This year, 102,000 teddy bears.
My God.
I mean, that's waist deep in teddy bears.
It looks like a big claw machine,
Absolutely incredible. The sweet, cuddly Mayhem, which, and by the way, I mean, that was exciting last night as the Wild beat the Blues 6-4, boldly with that go-ahead sweet, cuddly Mayhem in the third period. That was very exciting for me to see.
Yeah, yes, sir. Hopefully Faber's not too hurt. I saw he left in the first period with an upper body injury. But, great come behind. They really poured on the goals there, I think 4 in a row. So, go Wilds at 4 in a row, actually, maybe for the Wild.
Sorry for beating this dead horse, but Sweet Cuddly Mayhem could be my new band name.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. Nothing else is stuck. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9, a 19-year-old woman from Canada is claiming to have had a bit of a reaction, an unexpected reaction to the Pfizer COVID vaccine. The woman, whose name has not been released, says she got her first vaccine in September of 22, got the follow-up 3 weeks later. After the first dose, her breasts started tingling and growing slightly. After the second dose, she went from a, B cup to a triple G cup.
Whoa, now I'm tingling and growing somewhere.
I know just enough about bra sizes to know a triple G cup is a little more than anybody would ever need or want, probably.
It's a special order. Like you're not going to Target and finding that.
Yeah.
I like that, a special order.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I don't know if this is true or not, and this isn't really based on science yet as far as we know.
This
but
is just a girl trying to explain why she has a giant rack all of a sudden.
all of a sudden, because I'm looking at side-by-side pictures here. Now, she does have a face mask on, so we don't know if this is even actually her. This could be it's the internet, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I could probably figure this out with Photoshop in a couple of minutes, but she's noticeably, yes, much. She's got a couple of Zeppelins she's smuggling in there.
Man, doctors treating the woman suggested it could have triggered. There is something called PASH, pseudodagonohamous stromal hyperplasia. I'm not going to pronounce it correctly. It's an overgrowth of cells that usually causes benign lumps in the breast, but it's only been seen around 200 times. No one's ever linked that to any vaccine, historically speaking. I'm just going to go ahead and pull out my cynic cap and stick it on my head. I believe somebody took a trip to a third world country and tried to have a little surgery done. It went awry, and rather than say, oh, wait, I'm sorry, I was in Ankara last year with a doctor I found on a weird dark website, she's just going to blame it on the vaccine. That's just me.
I mean, you might be right, but I'm still glad I got Moderna.
Yeah.
I don't think Mr. Ryder probably. I don't know what his tendencies or
for
tastes
the
are.
millennials, he's a butt man.
Oh my God. Woo. Well, I can tell you this: if this turns out to be something real, if the COVID vaccine is increasing breast size, women ignore everything your man says to you about should we get vaxxed.
Yeah.
Just let it go. No, we're terrible, and we'll try to take advantage of it, and don't let that happen.
Maybe I ought to get another one.
The numbers 2 story on your top 5 at 9. The Vikings have added Daniel Jones officially to the roster. He will be on the 53-man playoff roster. Daniel Jones, the quarterback from the New York Giants, the guy who probably prompted more "this guy's a starting quarterback in the league" comments than anybody else in recent history. Daniel Jones famously has been tripped by yard markers on the field. This is a guy who more than once has been running in the open field and just fallen over his own feet. He's now our backup going into the playoffs. Brett Rypien. It's got to be tough to be Brett Rypien. You've been bouncing around the league. You've been a good backup, and then you're told, like, we're going to take that guy that's terrible from the Giants. Sorry, but these things happen.
Yeah, Vikings are not going to be satisfied until they have every quarterback in the NFL with a dumb look on their face, standing on the sideline. Just that.
If Sam Darnold, knock on wood, if he gets injured and Daniel Jones comes into a game and succeeds and actually does well, then I'm going to put Kevin O'Connell right there next to. I'm spacing on his name. The magician who does the weirdest, scariest stuff.
David Blaine.
Thank you. He's the David Blaine of the NFL. If you can turn Daniel Jones into a competent quarterback during the playoffs, then then you're David Blaine pulling a folded up ace of hearts out of my back pocket. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not gonna know what to say about it other than that.
We are not worthy.
No, we would not be worthy. I tell you what, again, to follow that up, if Daniel Jones gets into a game and leads the Vikings to a playoff victory, then give KOC a lifetime contract.
Yes.
Never let him leave. Chaska. Are we talking about Chaska? Are we talking about someone else? Good morning, Chaska.
Chaska.
We are,
Love you.
yes.
Yeah, I'll be down there for the Salisbury steak one of these days.
Nothing
at
like
the
a
old
Salisbury
Cricket Pine.
steak.
Oh, they've got a good Salisbury steak. It has that sloppy gravy. I want to bottle it and take it home at the Crooked Pint.
They'll let you do anything at the Crooked Pint.
Anything.
You're Brian Zepp, man. They're not gonna stop you.
I'm not the celebrity there. Taylor Zepp is the celebrity there.
Hey, listen, man. You don't think Paul McCartney's dad had carte blanche in Liverpool? Come on.
Hey, no kidding. I am a big shot there. That's my kid. Yeah.
The number 1 story on the top 5 at 9, the Minnesota blackout license plates. Holy smokes, what a success. The state was hoping to sell, they're like, man, hopefully we'll get 150,000 of these up on the roads. Try 271,000 sold this past year. That's putting millions of dollars, $7.8 million specifically, into the coffers. A huge success. I always thought it was funny, though. Tim Walz said when they announced it, he said, I just can't stand that Iowa had them and we didn't. I do appreciate that comment. Because you see the Iowa ones, you're like, it's a pretty cool license plate.
Are we following Iowa on this deal? Okay, Sadly. I did not know that till this microsecond. I don't know how to feel about it.
But it doesn't matter. They can have a good idea. We made it better. We're bigger. We made it stronger. No one's going to remember that in 2 years. In fact, I will confidently drive south on 35, cross the state line, and go, you guys taking all of our good ideas. They're not. They're Iowans. They're not going to argue. They're going to be like, sorry, we didn't mean to be in your way, Minnesota. That's how that works.
We'll start taking them off. Well, ours have a Z on them. They all have a Z on them. That's what I dig about it. And I did see one, a ZEP out there. You better not be parking in our parking lot. I'm going to take that bad boy.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.